So I was like, I need a dog. I think I have another dog. I am not a person who cannot have a dog.
Meet Scribbles and Mucca, two super cool California pups. And meet their parent, comedian, writer, and artist, Lisa Laureta, today on Industry Pets. Lisa, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. We're here to talk about Scribbles and Mucca. How did Scribbles come into your life?
I had a dog before her named Maybe. This is Maybe's little foot. There we go. And she passed away, and I am not a person who cannot have a dog. I just know that about myself. I need a dog. And a lot of it is like mental health issues and whatever. So I was like, I need a dog. And luckily I had some friends that loaned me a dog for a week or two. And then I was like, it's time to start looking. So I looked online, and I needed a dog with an underbite because that is a requirement for my dogs. So I started looking online at, I forget which site it was. It's like a dating site for pets, kind of, almost. You just like look at a bunch of pictures of animals up for adoption, and I saw Scribbles, and she had an underbite, and she was about the same size as my previous dog. She looked so scared, and like she just needed saving, and I was like, I need that dog. And so I went. This was in Chicago, actually. I live in LA now. My partner at the time and I drove all the way out, like 2 hours out to the suburbs, and we met her and adopted her, and she was so happy, and I was like, oh no, I don't know if I want a super happy dog, because I just wasn't in the place to have a super happy dog at the time. But I was like, I made the commitment, we're doing it, and I'm so glad I did. She's like the best dog. And then I got her a dog a year later.
You know, they say that companion pups are really good because they are pack animals, and sometimes we have to go away as humans and we can't take them with us all the time, though we want to. So that's really cool that you got Mucca to be the companion for Scribbles.
She earned it. I felt like she could be responsible and have her own dog.
Can you tell me how important it is for a canine companion in your life, and how does that affect your mental health and mentality?
Not to get too dark, but there are days where it's like, why keep going? And it's like, well, the first thing that pops in my head every single time is what would happen to Scribbles and Mucca. Also, just having somebody to walk every day, having somebody to get me outside every day, like especially in Chicago, because it would kind of, again, get the ball rolling and like get me a little out of my head and a little into the world and just into a better headspace. If all I do on my worst days is walk my dogs, I at least got a little bit of sunshine. I got outside. I breathed a little bit. I walked, I did some things, as opposed to like, because there have been some days, it's less now than it used to be, but there have been some days where literally I could just spend a week in bed, but I can't do that with a dog. You can't.
Mucca came along in Chicago as well?
No, Mucca was Scribbles and I moved to LA, and then I started volunteering at the East Valley Animal Shelter, and I made it 3 whole months before I caved. And then here was an underbite, and she was real scrawny, and I was volunteering as a groomer at that shelter. I walked in just to pet her because she didn't seem to need grooming, and as I was petting her, she was covered in ticks. So I took her to get a tick bath. So I took her out to dry, and she just kind of snuggled on my lap and was just kind of trembling and snuggling, and I was like, I think I have another dog. And it just kind of happened. And I was like, Scribbles, I got you a dog. I don't know what to tell you. And Scribbles was at the time suffering from really bad separation anxiety. And as soon as I brought Mucca home, it was like she had a job. She had something to do. She had someone to take care of. So she didn't care if I left. She was like, it's fine. I'll take care of Mucca. And she did. And it was great.
That's so wonderful. So what was it like traveling across the country with a dog? Because that is difficult, is it not?
I do it a lot, actually. I take a lot of road trips. It is a little more expensive if you stay in hotels because there's always a pet fee, or if you fly because there's pet fees for flying too. But I usually do road trips and I really like to camp. So it's not that hard unless you're like trying to go do a thing and don't have anywhere to keep the dog. But I kind of plan my trips around having my dogs with me, so it's fine.
So what are the top 3 tips that you have for people that want to do a road trip with their dog?
Make sure your dog's not going to get car sick. Like, test them out a lot before you just decide to go for hours and hours and hours. Make sure you know ahead of time what kind of accommodations you're going to be wanting to be in, because if it's, if you're going to a national park, you're not going to be able to take your dog past where you're camping. You can't take them on the trails at national parks, so stuff like that, just like call ahead or look ahead on websites or whatever. And then also just like make sure you've made enough plans for like food and eating and stuff so that you never have to leave your dog in the car unattended. So yeah, I mean, you just make a little bit of extra thought, but it's so worth it to me because I love having them around.
You are an animal trainer in Hollywood. How many tricks can Scribbles do?
She can do a lot. She's really tired today because she actually worked all day because she's prepping for a commercial.
Nice.
Shoots next week. Let's see. She has obviously like sit down. She has a beg up. She can do a leg hike where it looks like she's peeing on something. She can do the foots, one foot and then this foot. She can do head down and head up. She can do a jump on cue. I taught her this for a live show that I did here, a live comedy show, where I had her take money from the audience and bring it to a box that I made look like a piggy bank.
That's awesome.
That's called a pan retrieve, where they take something and bring it to another place. And she can just hold something in her mouth. She can do a lot.
Can Mucca do tricks?
No. Mucca can sit, and that is it. Mucca is a giant ball of stress and panic. God bless her. She tries, but it's too much panic. It's too much like, ah.
Mucca has a colorful fur arrangement going on. Can you tell us about Mucca's rainbow fur?
Yeah, right now she's a rainbow. Every June I dye her as a rainbow for Pride. Other times of year it's usually just her tail. That's how it started. That's the gateway drug. A tail dye is a gateway drug to a whole dyed dog. It's pet safe dye. There's several pet safe dyes out there and they're very fun. And I just did her white areas, so her black stayed black. And she kind of looks like the cover of a Lisa Frank folder.
So what are the top 3 first tricks that anyone should try to train their dog when they get a new dog?
If you're going for obedience, I would say teach them to place, which is where you have like a mat or a special spot for them to go to. And anytime you say the cue for them to go to, which could be place, it could be go lay down, whatever it is, they go to that. That can help a lot with keeping them from jumping up on people when they come through the door, keeping them from freaking out when you're like cooking a meal or when the doorbell rings or any of that kind of stuff. That's a great thing to start with. I would also recommend crate training and making sure that you leave them alone a decent amount of time. I know pandemic was really great for a lot of dogs, and then it became really bad for a lot of dogs because people went back to work. And then I would also do like a leave it just for safety, because that can prevent them from eating something they shouldn't. Like if you drop something that they shouldn't be eating on the floor, you either rely on how quick you can be versus how quick your dog can be. And if you have a Labrador Retriever, you're done. forget about it.
Do Scribbles and Mucca like dog parks, or are they couch potatoes?
Scribbles used to love dog parks, then she got her little footy bit by a German Shepherd, and that kind of started intimidating her. She used to love to play with like really big dogs, and then ever since that happened, she kind of backed off of that. And then once I got Mucca, she became really protective over Mucca, and so they just kind of stay off in their own little corner when we're at dog parks. So really, we just hike a lot.
What are the top 3 toys that you like to give Mucca and Scribbles?
Scribbles loves everything that squeaks. The louder and more obnoxious, the better. She's not really a toy dog. Like, she'll do a little bit of tugging. Like, she likes to tug. That's kind of it. But also, I can take whatever she's tugging on, because sometimes tugging becomes exhausting if you're a human. I'd much rather do fetch, because at least, you know, it's this instead of just, so sometimes I'll just take whatever she's tugging and I'll bury it in blankets. And then she has to dig for it, and it's actually more tiring. It's more work for her body and her mind to do. So it tires her out actually quicker than just like a game of fetch would. I would also say, and Mucca can't do toys. The best thing you can do for them is brain things versus physical things. Because I can take Scribbles on a 3-mile run. I can take her on a 7 or 8 mile hike. She could come home and still have the zoomies. But if I take her to an agility course, she's tired in a half hour.
So work the brain, not just the physical.
That's right.
What are Scribbles' top 3 treats? She's
really into hot dogs right now. She likes chicken a lot. To work Scribbles, she'll work for kibble. Like, she's not really picky about it. She'll kind of take whatever.
This has been a really fun conversation. Tell everybody where they can find you at and what you got going on.
You can find me, I have a website. I also have a website for the pet portraits that I do. So just my name, LisaLaureta.com. Aside from training, I'm also a writer. I'm working on a dog-related pilot, actually dogs and cats and other pets. I also do pet portraits, and I do obedience training in addition to the studio training. So if anybody ever wants obedience in the LA area, hit me up for that. Social medias, follow Scribbles on TikTok. My TikTok is Adult Kids Show. Scribbles' TikTok is at Scribbles Dog. Yeah, Scribbles the Dog on Instagram. And I'm just Lisa Laureta on Instagram. Her YouTube is It's a Scribbles. ITSASCRIBBLES.
Big shout out to helpsavepets.org, your charity of choice for your episode. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Industry Pets.
Thank you so much for having me.